Friday, November 22nd, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning, I'd like to talk about the UK general elections a little bit, but it also applies to the US and this rise of the far left of socialism in the US. You've got Bernie Sanders, of course, and Ocasio-Cortez. Here in the UK, we've got Jeremy Corbyn. He's come out with his economic plan. It's like going back to the 1970s, right? Nationalizing a lot of industries, raising taxes. It's quite a change from what we've had. And am I saying what we've had good compared to what Mr. Corbyn is planning to do if he wins the general election, which is in 20 days? No. What we have isn't great either. We've got socialism for the people that live around the M25. It's called the London Orbital Road. It's like the Beltway equivalent in DC, right? And that's where the wealth has flown into in the last 40 years, a lot of the wealth at least. The thing that's happened in the UK, a lot of people, the theory was that the wealth would trickle down, right? But it hasn't really trickled down that much. If anything, I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago about the Gini coefficient, Gini coefficient. Basically, that says if the coefficient is 0, it means that there's perfect equality in the country amongst the population, which is probably virtually impossible, right? And 1 is when one person owns everything. There's total inequality. So 0 to 1 or 0 to 100%. In the UK, you can see here the Gini coefficient has risen, and it's 32.4. It's risen from around 25, mid to late 70s, right, to 32.4. So looking at it like that, it might sound, well, we're going to go back to how it was in the 1970s. There will be more equality. Maybe so, but even the bottom 50% were poorer than they're now. I think the problem nowadays is relative poverty. People see other people earning millions and millions, not paying any tax, right? And they working hard and not getting ahead. That's the problem. So what's the solution? Well, personally, I think the solution is, of course, having sound money, having competition, having small government. Competition is what drives prosperity, right? Small government, rule of law, right? Property rights. That's what encourages entrepreneurs, and encourages saving, encourages growth, right? But you need the sound money, the rule of law. You can only have sound money if you don't have a central bank. If you have competition in money as well. Why can't we have competition in money? And I advise you to listen to my live stream this coming Sunday at 9 p.m. London. Last Sunday, I started talking about this book, What Has Government Done to Our Money? And I'm going to continue on this subject and go through the book on Sunday. This coming Sunday, I'm going to look at chapter 1, Money in a Free Society, the Value of Exchange. So basically, Rothbard, the author of that book, explains that money is the most marketable commodity, and it's what people use in the free market to indirectly exchange goods and services. And that it's half of all commercial transactions, of course. So it's very important. So we can't let money, a government control money and create monopolies like central banks and give private bankers so much power to control that money, right? We need to strip away that power from the central bank, the monopoly power to issue currency, paper currency, and I would add, it's not even backed by anything anymore. Of course, that makes it even worse. Yeah, strip that monopoly power, maybe allow the Bank of England to go private. People might want to buy it, or just abolish the Bank of England. It was created by a royal charter. It needs a royal charter, I guess, to be abolished. And let the banks compete, and let the market use whatever currency they want. Don't force people into legal tender laws. So that's my solution. Of course, it's I don't have any hopes that that will come into effect anytime soon. So it won't matter left or right, Labor or Conservative, Republicans or Democrat, until we are in this central banking paradigm. We're gonna continue to go back and forth from left to right, and the people in the middle and towards the bottom, they're not gonna go ahead, never get ahead. They're not gonna have as much chance. Watched an interesting video the other day of George Gilder, the technology guy, and he's talking about that as well. He says governments destroy surprise. He calls it surprise. In a vibrant economy, you need competition. You need people to come up with new ideas. But when government interferes so much, and we know that governments, they don't create wealth. They just redistribute it. But we need to go back to a government that's small, lean, and honest, and administers the rule of law, protects the individual, the old common law basics, right? Protect an individual. So yeah, do I think this is gonna be the nirvana if Jeremy Corbyn wins and Labour comes to power, going back to the 70s? No, it's gonna be just as bad as it's now, but I think it will be bad for everyone, because we know in the 70s in the UK, yeah, they had to have a 3-day week, I think. I didn't live here in the 70s, but my wife tells me about it. There wasn't much around. There was high inflation. So am I saying it's great now for the general public? No. As I said before, the very top have benefited the people around the M25, around London. So that's the way it looks to me. What about protecting yourself, your savings in fiat currency, not only in the UK, but all around the world? As I've said before, precious metals. Look how precious metals protected people in the 70s. And am I saying we're going to go back to the 70s? No, but in the 70s, the Labour government prior to that, in the 60s, they instituted currency controls. So they put a limit on how much gold people could buy every year. I think there's a limit of 6 sovereigns every year. So this could be one of your last chances to accumulate some gold before December 12th. I'm not trying, of course, to tell you to go out there and do that. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Hopefully it won't happen. But so I don't see any thing getting better economically here in the UK. I think the other party, the Conservatives, they call themselves the party of small government and business, but they're not going to change anything either. They're looking for huge tax cuts for business and for people in general, small crumbs, but they're not going to stop the government spending, believe me. As I said, like to see very small government and sound money, very hard to tax, and inflate the currency in such a system. That's what it looks like to me. Either way, things are not going to improve, unfortunately. It doesn't mean to say that you can't thrive. You just need to know what's going on. It's your choice. If you want big government, if you want big government as well for the 1% or for the general public, go ahead and do it. If you want freedom, individual liberty, small government, sound money, rule of law, you wouldn't vote for any of these people. So that's what I'm trying to say. People need to wake up from this left-right paradigm. Anyway, enough of that for today. Mixing politics and economics there a little bit. Let's have a look at the markets, if we can call them that these days. It's 7:54 a.m. London. Spot gold is at 1467. Nice surprise that it's up today. It's up $3. Range has been 1463 to 1469. Silver outperforming slightly. It's up 6 cents at 17.15, up 1/3%. The stock market, just show you a chart of the Dow here. It's a daily chart. And you can see that it looks like November 19th might have been some kind of top. It's still early days, right? And look at that trend line there. It looks quite interesting. So now the next level objective or support on the downside would be the previous all-time high on the 19th of July, which was 27,400, right? Or thereabouts. So this morning, the Dow's up 27.1%, not much move, 27,790. S&P 3106, up 3.25 points. And the NASDAQ 100 futures up 15 at 82.80. Foreign exchange, the fiat currencies are quiet again. Sterling is 129.11, that's unchanged. The euro 110.63, up slightly. Dollar down slightly, very slightly against the yen at 108.60, and the dollar's up 0.1% against the yuan, 703.68. Crude oil, that's moved up quite a bit since yesterday. We're now at 58.30. It went up yesterday during the day. Overnight, it's down 0.4. So crude oil is doing quite well. WTI. Interesting that stock market hasn't really followed that much in the last few days, the move in crude oil. And Brent is almost back up to 63. It's at 62.90. It's down overnight, but since I spoke yesterday, it's quite a bit higher. Bond markets, the yields backed up a little bit yesterday, actually, with the markets going down, which is unusual, the stock market going down. The 10-year was up about 3 basis points, so we're now around 178. It's unchanged overnight. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, make sure you share this video far and wide, and you can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.